Hey, it's Jenna from Spiritually Savage Mindset Strategy Coaching. I am a psychic medium, channeler, card reader, soul guide, soul coach, soul mentor, helper of gifts, whatever it is that you want to call me. And I thank you for coming to the video today. I am tired and probably out of breath a little bit. Yesterday, you'll notice that I didn't post a video yesterday, or it will be today or tomorrow, because I'm recording this video today, but you didn't get a video yesterday because I was energetically exhausted. This Mercury retrograde has brought out a lot of shadow aspects in a lot of people, and I'm seeing it in mass and crisis in my clients. And a lot of your old bad habits and a lot of your old undesirable traits and a lot of your old relationships or things that you've been tolerating in your relationships or circling patterns keep coming out. And so energetically, I just could not provide for you yesterday. So I apologize for that, but I will not apologizing for self-caring. So this morning, I have been out on my porch dancing, because that is one of the ways that I raise my vibration. And that's one of the things I want you to put in the comments below is, how do you raise your vibration? Like, how do you stop everything and just raise your vibration? Because a lot of people think self-care takes a whole lot of time, and that raising your vibration takes a whole lot of time, and you can do it instantly, just like that. So tell me some of the ways you do raise your vibration, and then I'll do a video and we'll talk about ways to instantly raise your vibration. And that's one of them, just so you know. But I've been out on my porch dancing because dancing is something that I always do to raise my vibration. I use music, and I love music, and music speaks to me greatly. And I dance around and I act like a fool, and I am not a great dancer, and I don't care because it makes me happy, and that's all that matters. And this retrograde has really shaken our roots. And it has really showed some of you that you're not doing what makes you happy, that you've lost all the things that made you happy, and that you're trying to hold on to things that in your mind are supposed to make you happy, or that you thought would make you happy, or that you've told yourself are what make you happy, and they just don't. You've made holding on to them part of your story for so long, and lost the whole fact that these people, places, and things do not make you happy anymore. You've outgrown them, and you are trying to leave them behind, and you're desperately holding on to it because you still have this idea that this is what makes you happy. I want to tackle who you believe you are. We talked a little bit a couple of days ago about the video and the event that I did with Melania Mercedes in our group on Facebook, the Self-Care Sanctuary. If you're not in that group, please come join us. I will try to remember to put the link in the description below. And so if you are on Facebook and you're not in that group, please come join us, because it's a great group, and we do events and stuff like that and talk about real self-care stuff. And we're getting new energy into the group, and really trying to stir up some beautiful self-care tips and things in there, and help people to really maneuver this awakening and this spiritual warfare that's going on. So we talked about, and I've talked about the last couple of weeks, being in love with your character, entrenching yourself in your character, and really loving on your character, and not your story, just letting your storyline be what it is. And let it evolve, let it unfold, love your character. Love you as your character so much that you're just like, oh my God, you're so curious. You can't wait to see where the storyline goes. You don't try to control it. You just let the writer write it. You know what I mean? You just let the universe bring you whatever it is, because you go, man, I'm glad I wasn't in control of that, because the writer was so much better at this than me. So, it brings about so much trust and character development, and allows you to have such adventure and curiosity when you understand that you're not in control. Like, the only thing you can control is your reactions and your feelings. Life things are brought to you. People are brought to you. And I'm really having to explain to people why they should let go of or why they should move on to new experiences. And a lot of you are in that I'm afraid because I feel out of control. Good, because you are getting to the reality that you are not in control. You have never been in control. This whole illusion that you have going on of control is you trying to keep yourself in one place. It's not control. It's called stuck. You're not trying to control anything. You're just trying to keep yourself mounted where you are. And here's the thing. I did the video the other week where I talked about you are a tent. You are a tent. And we stake ourselves into things and think that's our identity. Okay, your religion, your relationship, your job, your hobbies, you being a parent, whatever it is. And then when something comes through and wipes out all those stakes, you go, who am I? You're the tent. You're not any of those things you're staked in. And in order to have an adventure, you don't leave a tent in one campground. You take the tent wherever the adventure is. So you have to learn to see yourself as the tent and understand that the campgrounds will change. Your relationships will change. The setting will change. The script will change. Your co-stars will change. And you need to understand that nothing in life is permanent. And people go, oh my God, how can I trust anything? How can I be comfortable in anything? How can I, feel safe in anything? You feel safe in you. Your safety is you, and you're never supposed to feel comfortable. Comfortable is suffocation. Okay, you need to understand that. You're supposed to make yourself uncomfortable every single day. One of the things that is really coming up right now is people are like, oh my God, I feel so resistant towards this. I need you to understand that if somebody says something or does something and you feel resistant to it immediately, if you dig your heels in, you need to understand that that's one of the first things you need to look at. Whenever I feel resistant to something, I stop immediately and go, ooh, I'm doing that right now. Even if it's something small in your house, like you walk past like laundry or like, somebody's dropped socks or something like that in the hallway or whatever, you walk by it and you go, I'll get that later. No, you stop and you do it now, because a lot of the times we let things slide and then later never comes. And then something happens. You're supposed to learn to address everything in your life. When something comes up, you address it then. You know why? You don't ignore it and let it build up. If you feel resistant to tackle something, that's the first thing you need to do. Stop yourself and go, ooh, what's that? That's the thing that I'm supposed to do. So who are you? You have to learn to identify yourself as the person you are, not the roles you play in society. So I am not a mom. I am not, I am not a partner. I am not, my business. I am not a coach. I'm not those things, because what happens when all those things are taken away from me, if something were to happen and all those things were taken away from me, then who am I? I have this identity crisis. I don't root myself in any of those things. I root myself in who I am. So we did this exercise on that thing in the self-care sanctuary the other day, where we talked about knowing who we are. And one of the things that I root myself in is I am a fun, fiery, feisty as fuck soul guide. That's who I am. That doesn't tell you that I'm a mother. It doesn't tell you whether I have a partner or not. It doesn't tell you about any of my relationships. Doesn't tell you if I have siblings. Doesn't tell you if I have parents. Doesn't tell you if I have pets or anything else. You know why? Because all of those things could change. Who I am does not change. So when circumstances in life show up and then people show up and are trying to tell me who I am, then I stop and I root myself in it and I go, no, I'm none of those things. I'm a fun, fiery, feisty as fuck soul guide. That's who I am. That's my mission here on earth. That's my purpose. And I root myself in that. And there's no confusion. Even if things change, even if a relationship leaves, even if there's a death in my life, even if there's friends that exit, even if there's things that I thought were permanent, And I need you to understand that you need to get rid of the word permanent in your life. And you need to understand that if you believe something is permanent, then that is the thing that is keeping you stuck. Okay? The only thing that's permanent in your life is you. You are the thing that you will never be able to get rid of. You are the person that you will never be able to leave. You are your anchor. You are your everything. Okay? You are the only thing that you have. And that's a great thing because that gives you the power to fulfill all your own needs. That gives you the power to keep your emotions stable. That gives you the power and understanding that no matter what happens out here, it doesn't have to waver who you are and how you feel about yourself or anything else. You stand in who you are. In the comments, I'd also, if you feel free, tell me who you are. And if you need help with this, and this is something you're really interested in finding out, maybe you don't know who you are aside from your relationship. Maybe you don't know who you are aside from your business. Maybe you don't know who you are aside from your religion. Maybe you don't know who you are aside from so-and-so's mom or so-and-so's partner. If you don't know and you'd like some help with that, hit my scheduler below and let's talk about how we can work through that and find who you are. Because this is an incredibly important thing, especially right now while people's roots and identities are in question. You need to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you damn sure need to find out. Because if you don't know who you are meandering through life, expecting others to fill in those gaps for you. You're completely, you cannot have a relationship with yourself and not know who you are. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? Have you ever had a relationship with anybody in your life that you didn't know who they were? You don't know anything about them. If you have a love relationship with somebody as a friend, a family member, or a spouse, a partner, romantic, dating, anything, don't you seek so hard to find out everything you can about them. Why would you not do that with yourself? Why are you looking at this video saying to me that you don't know who you are? You cannot have a self-love relationship with yourself if you don't know who you are. And you cannot have a successful partnership with yourself if you don't know who you are. You cannot have a successful ability to create your gifts, have them come out, help other people with them if you don't know who you are, because you are partners with your intuition. And if you don't know who your soul is, if you don't know who you are deep down, how are you in that relationship? How are you being authentic about your intuition, your gifts, your abilities? You're not. And that's the key. If you can't hear your intuition, it's because you have not built a relationship with yourself. You need to know who you are. A lot of you are going through tower moments and everything is falling down right now. Relationships are ending. And if they're not ending, you're feeling the push to end them. And your identity is in question. So it's time to find out who that is. But it's very interesting because in finding out who you are, a lot of things are going to come forward and you're going to think they are shadow aspects of yourself. And I'm going to tell you that shadow aspects of yourselves are things that you find undesirable. They're things you find unacceptable. Number one, that doesn't mean they're unacceptable. It's just things that you've programmed yourself to believe. I had a talk with another healer this past week and I really giggled about it while I was dancing on the porch because I have a lot of sexual energy. And I rarely talk about this on the channel, but I do talk about it on my Facebook posts a lot. And people have so much shame and trauma and taboo and secrecy and just embarrassment over sexual energy. And you need to understand that sexual energy is creation energy. It is what creates life. It is what creates passion. It is what creates desire. It is what creates fire. It also creates anger and jealousy, retaliation. You see all those fiery emotions that it creates? So it is very, very incredibly important to dig into that part of your identity and tap in, because a lot of you are not going through awakening. You're not going through regular awakening. You're going through a Kundalini awakening, and it is igniting passions and things inside of you, and it is alerting and awakening your sexual energy, and you're freaked out by it. And you're starting to look at yourself like, not only are you losing your mind, you're losing control of your body, you're losing control of your impulses and all this other stuff. And you need to understand that sexual energy is creation energy. And so society has built so much shame and secrecy and taboo and labels around sexuality and how we feel about it and how we're allowed to express it without feeling undesirable or slutty or, not able to be a good partner or hypersexual or whatever is these negative emotions, pushy, manipulative, all these emotions that we have with sexual energy. And you need to understand that there's a reason that they try to convince you that you're a victim all the time when it comes to sexuality. And part of this is so that you can't create what you want in your life. Sexual energy, your desire, your passions, your wants, all those things are what you push out into the universe to manifest and create your magic. Lots of people use that to create the life that they want. They use that sexual energy, which is your creation energy, however you express it, and they push it out into the universe and say that's the emotion that I want more of. That I want more abundance. I want this. Sex and money is also very, very connected in that it is a receiving thing. You have to be able to receive sex. And a lot of people who have gone through trauma or are dealing with trauma or refusing to deal with trauma or being told that trauma is just part of your life now and you'll never get past that, it's bullshit. It's a way to keep you stuck and not able to receive. Love, sex, money, all of those things have to do with your sexual energy because you need to be able to receive them. And if you're in your head, then you can't receive them. You cannot relax. You cannot connect. You're overthinking everything that is happening and connecting it to something else. So there is a huge correlation between sexual energy and what you're able to create in your life. So if you are stuck in sexual trauma, if you are having a difficult time getting through it, anything like that, there is a big part of you that needs to separate this trauma and the feelings you have about the trauma from the sexual act. Because these traumas, even if they're expressed sexually or were done in a sexual manner, they are not about that sexual act. They are about control. They were about manipulation. They were about confusing you. They were about something other than sex. Sex may have just been the vehicle to be able to do that. So you need to understand. Sorry about that. You need to understand that this was not about sex. That was the vehicle that was used, but yet you are continue to connect it to that because that's the vehicle that was used. You need to understand that a lot of times we connect things to certain things that have nothing to do with them deep down. All right. We can already have wounds and then be in a relationship and the person taps on these wounds and we're angry for them with them that they're not filling these needs. And so later on, as we progress, we connect those wounds with that person. And let me just tell you that those wounds were already there, or that person wouldn't have been expected to fill those holes. The wounds were already there. Us connecting this with certain things keeps us from digging deeper and finding the real reason. We get distracted with the details and don't get to the healing. And this was one of the deficits I really, really found in therapy when I was working, you know, with clients and things like that, is that there's so much rehashing and rehashing and rehashing in therapy that I felt like we were setting people up for PTSD instead of giving them a vehicle to push past these things and saying, stop rehashing the details because the details don't matter. Tell me where these wounds actually came from, because I'm not interested in giving you coping skills. I'm interested in you healing and moving forward. We're going to fill in these holes, okay? We're going to get rid of these dead bodies. We're going to fill in these holes, and then you're going to move on and be able to build a foundation here. This is what actual healing looks like. So I don't want you to be distracted by other people and blaming them or connecting trauma to them or connecting trauma to things that, you know, inanimate things, places, people, things like that. When I was moving here, before I moved here, I had a trauma that occurred here 20 years ago. Some of you have heard my story. And before I moved here, I could not come through this state even, or I would have panic attacks, everything. And then somebody who was a really close friend of mine, when she found out about this and we decided I was thinking of taking this journey and coming here and just to kind of see how I felt and kind of tackle some of the trauma head on, she said to me, you do realize that you are terrified of a place on a map. That's it. She said that physical place is not coming to get you, to kill you. You have connected stuff to this place that is not this place's fault. It's not this place. It's not this place that you need to blame. You need to just deal with what it is inside of you. And when you deal with it inside, whatever attachments you have to it out here will release. And she was absolutely right. And I moved here a year later and I love it here. And I can't imagine that I stayed away for more than 20 years, robbing myself of this place and this feeling of home that I had always had here. And I robbed myself of that for 20 years. You know, I robbed myself of the things that I see every day that I love and experience. My child loves it here. And the things that he experiences here, he could never have experienced where we lived before. And I would have robbed him of that had I not been able to get past the details and really start digging into what the roots were and where the deficits actually came from. So when we're dealing with this creation energy, we have really, really stifled a lot of people and made them feel a certain way for having so much sexual energy and so much creation energy. And we need to understand that if we have an issue with other people and the way they express their sexual energy, we need to look into why that is for us. You know, if you have an uncomfortability with talking about sex as an adult, because we really are programmed to believe there's no appropriate time to talk about it. If you act out sexually in public, and I mean kissing and PDA and hugging on each other and everything, everybody goes, get a room. Like it's embarrassing. Everybody goes, you're acting like a teenager. But when you're a teenager and you try to act like that, they go, that's not appropriate. Wait until you're an adult. We're really programmed to believe there is no time to be sexual. And then we believe that as relationships mature, that we get away from that sexual energy. Do you want to get away from what's creating joy in your life, what's creating abundance in your life, what's allowing you to receive money and, abundance and all of the good things? Do you want to stop creating with your partner? Period? Ever? Because I don't. I want to continue to create a life. And in order to do that, you've got to tap the joy, the abundance, the fire. And that comes from your creation energy. So if you're uncomfortable with it, you need to dig in and find out why. Where did that programming come from? Because we're taught so many conflicting and weird and just destructive and manipulative things. We're also taught to manipulate people with sexual energy. We use sex to get what we want, to hear what we want. We use it as a reward or a punishment. And it should never be used as that. I tell people all the time, if you wouldn't do it with food, like if you wouldn't reward or punish somebody by starving them, or giving them an overabundance, then you don't need to be doing it with sex either. You do not need to manipulate people with it, because you can create with that also. And you're going to create resentment. You're going to create hurt. You're going to create damage. You're going to create distance. You're going to create, hang-ups for yourself and for the other person. So it creates either way. It just depends on what you're using it for. So stop using it as a tool and a weapon, okay? Start using it as what it's meant to. It's meant to be a creation tool. So ask yourself, what do you want to create with it? And use it for that, because it needs to be a part of your identity fully. Integrate it in, because some people come off as very sexual without saying anything sexual, without looking sexy, without dressing sexy. It's because they have this amazing ability to create connections, this amazing magnetism to them, this amazing just burst of like amazing vibes, and you're just drawn to them, and that is their sexual energy. And you don't ever, ever, ever want to quelch that in yourself. You don't ever, ever, ever want to put out your fire. You don't ever want to hide your fire. You don't ever want to dim your fire. You want to fan that shit as hard as you can. So if it makes you uncomfortable for people to feel that from you, for you to feel that energy, for you to feel that vibe, or if you don't know how to set up boundaries so that you don't feel like other people are infringing on you, because I have a very sexual energy and people come to me, and I know that sometimes the things that people say or do to me, other people would be like highly uncomfortable and highly offended, but I have such strong boundaries that I'm like, thank you. Like, no, I appreciate you noticing that. And no, I'm not interested in sleeping with you. That's just my energy, but thank you for appreciating it. And to me, it's a compliment. It's not an infringement. It's not scary to me. It's not somebody pushing my boundaries. It is literally just my opportunity to be clear about where my boundaries are. So if you have trouble with any of these things, if you have a really, you're not tapped into the identity with your sexual nature, if you have trauma left still, if you have uncomfortability, or if you have an abundance of it and you just don't know how to set up boundaries and how to do it properly without sounding like a bitch, then you may want to hit me up and we'll talk, because this is something really important in your life. You're going to need to learn to use your creation energy for everything that you want to create in your life. And I don't feel like enough healers are talking about this. I don't feel like enough people are addressing it. And I feel like our society is in dire need of people who understand how to create change right now, because what we need is change. So if that's the pull that you're feeling, if you're looking for change in your life or in your world, in the world at large, this is an energy you're going to need to create a relationship with while you're integrating your identity. And I would love to talk to you about that. All right, talk to you soon.